in charge. They have the power. Of course, there are major conflicts between certain forces within Iranian society. But here the ulama are in power. But that's the only example I can think of. I don't think this is the case in the Sudan or the case in Malaysia or Saudi Arabia or Pakistan, although some of these countries are referred to sometimes as Muslim countries. In other Muslim countries, take the example of Egypt. In Egypt we have the major institution of Al-Azhar, which is a respected Islamic theological institution, especially in the Sunni world. And if you look at the Azhar ulama, by and large, nowadays, the majority do not oppose the status quo. On the contrary, they are the major supporters of the status quo. So in that sense, they are not absent from social political forces within society. They do support the status quo. And the ones who don't are the jihadis, or the people who belong to the Jama'ah Islamiyah. When I was in Egypt 2 days ago, I came to realize for the first time that there are 15,000 members of Jama'at al-Islamiyah in prison in Egypt. 15,000, a large number. Most of them are young people, leaders, intellectuals in a religious sense. Whereas the high ulama of Egypt, at least most of them, are in support of the status quo, which is very oppressive, extremely oppressive. And they justify the status quo in Islamic terms. And this is true to a large extent also in Saudi Arabia with a great number of the ulama. I know that there is a split between the ulama in Saudi Arabia. Some of them oppose the status quo, but the majority, one would say, are for the status quo. Now, how would you characterize the situation here in Pakistan? Would you say that the majority of the ulama are for the status quo or against the status quo?
It's a difficult question, but in the first instance, I disagree with you. The ulama don't belong to the intelligentsia or the intellectual elite. They are learned people, learned in the religious sciences only.
Yeah, but that's a production of knowledge. But anyway.
But you know, it's restricted. Scope is restricted.
That's not restricted.
Yes.
The ulama are in touch with the masses, and that's not restricted at all.
No, the scope is restricted.
Yeah.
They are in touch with the masses because they are there in the mosques. And every 7th day there is a meeting. There is a public gathering. And they have the contact with them. But intellectuals means those people who obey their intellect first of all. Philosophical bent. And you know, they want to have this intellectual thirst satisfied. Those are the intellectuals. And in the Muslim world, it's very sad that the actual intellectual elite is secular. And to Islamize them is the biggest challenge for the Islamic movements.
Well, I disagree with this kind of character. I think that the religious elite are a major part of the intellectual elite. They are not the only part, but they are a major side, a major layer of the intellectual elite in contemporary.
We need to disagree.
Yes, that's true.
If I am mistaken, please forgive me. You said that Prophet Muhammad ﷺ was led an offensive.
Yes.
Jihad.
Yes.
Okay. Can you give examples?
And that
with isolating from the conditions and of the time, because
you know, brother, after Hijrah,
yeah,
we can't prove there was any move from the Meccan side, from the Mushrikeen of Makkah.
all the wars were around Medina.
What? No.
But
what happened
this
is that Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam took only 6 months to consolidate his position at Medina. He built the mosque, number 1. Then Mu'ahat, brotherhood between the immigrants of the Muhajirs and the Ansars. And thirdly, a joint pact of defense of Medina with the Jewish tribes, 3 tribes. He consolidated his position here. And from the 7th month he started setting small groups, guerrilla groups, threatening the caravan route which was going from Mecca and passing near Medina from Badr and going to Syria, or the caravan route going to Yemen through Taif. There are 8 expeditions. In 4 of them Muhammad himself took part. They are called Ghazawat. And the other 4 are Saraya.
Yeah, before their attack, before the attack of
Medina
people.
Yes. And there was no move whatsoever from the Makki side. Well, they wanted to go and attack Medina and finish this job.
I mean, what I said, isolating from the condition, because each time they used to receive information that they are going to attack Medina. That's why. Yeah, that's why he did. Yeah, that's why he did.
No, you can't prove.
Peace treaty with Jewish and even with Christians.
8 expeditions, you cannot prove any one of them was based upon any information coming from.
I think this point needs to be analyzed very deeply, because it is. I feel very much doubt that in Prophet's life there was offensive jihad to any. I mean, if we study very deeply that he was all in defensive cases, because this.
Well, the conquest of Mecca was a form of offensive jihad.
Are you?
Oh no.
Sir, are you familiar with Fazl Rahman's argument that for each single battle we do not need to establish a point of provocation from the Meccans? What we need to establish is the overall offensive context that the Quraysh of Makkah had established, to which Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam had to respond, and that's the argument which Fazl Rahman has built.
Actually, there is no proof that the Makki people were planning some attack of Medina. As I was saying, there were hawks and doves. The hawks, Abu Jahl, Uqba ibn Abi Mu'ayyad, they wanted to attack. But there were doves who wanted, though they have gone from here. And one person, Utbah ibn Rabi'ah, he said that now leave Muhammad and the rest of the Arab world. Now if Muhammad is eliminated by the rest of the Arab world, this thing will happen. Without yourself soiling your swords with the blood of your brothers. Who are they? They are from Quraysh. And if Muhammad can subdue the whole of Arabia, it will be to our gain. He is a Qarshi. So a Qarshi empire will be established. So this was the argument going on. But when that thing happened, when the caravan was going to Syria under the leadership of Abu Sufyan, Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam chased it, but it escaped. When it was coming back, he sent an SOS message to Makkah. I fear that Muhammad and his people sallallahu alaihi wasallam radiyallahu ta'ala, they will attack us. So send some help. And from the other side, from Nakhla is a place between Makkah and Taif. There the Prophet had sent 11 people. And the command was, stay there and keep us informed of the movement of the Makki people. There happened a skirmish. One of the mushrikeen of Makkah was killed by Muslims. 2 were made prisoners and they brought the booty also. The Prophet said, I had not commanded you to fight, but he didn't take any action also. Now this person who had escaped, he went to Mecca and he raised hue and cry. The people of Muhammad have killed our person. These 2 reasons, were there for the preparation of 1,000 strong army. The provocation was from Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. We have to be very clear regarding this. This is a very important issue of the Sirah.
I want you to consider the consequences of the position you are taking. And here is how I see it. If we articulate the jihadic ideology as an offensive ideology, and we say to the world that we have not yet reached the